right, hey, VC, Jeff back again. So yes, I had that string of contest entry videos, and I knew in the last one that I'd be making another one today. Not for a contest though, but I knew that this was going to be arriving in the mail. This, of course, is the monthly Metalhead Box. I've been doing these videos now. Wow, this is actually the August box. It went out really later than usual, so it's here at the end of September. September box technically should be going out this week. Don't know if it will, but I've been doing these. I guess the first box I got seems like, man, almost a year ago. So, yes, if you're not familiar with the Metalhead Box, I've done videos each month for them. It's a monthly subscription service. You choose the genre of metal you want, and you pick the different packages, everything from CDs to vinyl to with or without t-shirts. There's all kinds of combinations worldwide. They're from Canada, so the shipping, is a little more if you're outside of Canada, and really if you're outside of other places. But for the most part, the reason what I do for this is do it because it introduces me to a lot of bands. I've discovered a lot of modern metal bands that I would not normally probably have any clue about. These are, smaller label bands, things along that line. Now, I've seen people come and go with the Metalhead Box. They're like, well, I'd rather spend the money on things that I do like rather than take a chance. And, I've toyed with that idea, but it comes down to getting me out of my comfort zone and into bands that I probably, like I say, would never have even heard about. So I'm going to, stick with it. But the inside it, aside from I have the 2 vinyl record edition, and then they have an extras. Now, the extras, as I've said before, the extras in the box are always, they almost always are geared towards more of an extreme metal. Because, I guess, today when you say metal, most younger people who listen to metal seem to only understand it to mean more extreme metal. So, they don't look at necessarily they don't look at the whole history of metal from the 70s, 80s on, and so some of the commercial metal may not fall in there, but they do have. I chose power metal or typical regular metal, and so there are modern bands that play that, and so that's the kind of stuff that I tend to get musically, but the extras tend to always be on the more extreme side. So maybe one day as the service grows and maybe as the funds grow, they can start broadening some of that extras and start including some more of a traditional metal feel. So who knows? For now though, it is what it is, and we get what we get. So let's check it out. I'm going to do it a little different this time. I'm going to actually, usually I open them and then I go back and listen and come back and let you know. I'm going to open them, and then I'm actually going to look up the band a little as we're looking at it, just so I have a little more information on the band that I can share with you in case you don't know, because some of these things I don't know. All right, so get this open. The first thing we see is this pin. And yeah, see, because obviously this is more of an extreme / black metal, I have no clue, who that is. He's got an inverted cross with flames and blood and all the typical silly imagery of the black metal, death metal type side, where they think that all of that stuff is real evil looking. Anyway, so somebody can reveal to me who that is. I am in the dark on that one. All right, we'll get this open here. All right, so let's see. There's a CD here, Redefining Darkness, Forever Underground. You could tell from the imagery and everything that obviously this is going to be more extreme. Look, it's even got the Metalhead Box logo on it. So this was actually, I guess, made by them. It is gray on black, so let me see if I can read what this is. So this is a 20-song CD. Obviously the song titles and everything kind of reveal this is going to be dark stuff. Anyway, interesting to check it out. You never know. Never know what you might get. All right. Now that brings us, at least the way the box is set up, to the first band, Ostrogoth, Last Tribe Standing. Very metal looking cover there. 8 songs, Empire Records, from Belgium. As far as the album itself, I do not know the band, so I'm going to take a quick break and let's look them up. Okay, so Ostrogoth is from Belgium, Ghent, Belgium. The roots of the band can be traced back as early as 1976, where the drummer and bass player worked together. Anyway, he goes on to say that they formed this band, and due to disputes, the band decided to split up in the summer of '88. They reformed in 2002 for some live shows and split up again the same year. In 2010, a couple of the guys got together and redid the band again. And so, as this stands, this is a 2015 release. The last release from the band was in 2003. So they have only had an 84 release, an 85 release, an 87 release, and then a split CD release in 2003, maybe an EP in 83. So this is kind of like their first album since the 80s. So yeah, it doesn't exactly say which style, but it just describes them as a metal band. So they tend to be from the 80s, so hopefully we'll enjoy that. That's got a cool cover. All right, we'll listen to this in a bit, and then we'll come back and we'll give a view on that. All right, next up in the box, I have heard of this band. I can't remember what I've heard, but 3 Inches of Blood. I know they're more of a modern band. You can tell it's a gatefold. Let's go ahead and open it. For some reason, I seem to recall, I think I've heard something by them. I don't know whether or not they're a little more on the extreme side. I'm assuming not, since they're in my box, but I know that I've heard of them and I've seen them on a sampler. Well, they look cool. Oh yeah, I never checked the other one to see if they are of any color variants. This is black. Let us take a quick second to look them up, just to get a little more information on them, because like I say, I know I've heard of them, but I can't tell you much about them. Okay, makes sense. They're a Canadian band, and because the Metalhead Box is from Canada. This is their 2009 Here Waits Thy Doom album. They do have an album from 2012 that came out after this, and they have like 3 before this: 2002, 2004, 2007, some EPs or things along that line. So they're fairly, I mean, you know, they've been around since the 2000s. Doesn't say a whole lot about their style. We will, I'm going to give them a listen and check them out. You know, I don't think I can't say I've ever heard any of their music, but I have heard a lot of other people talk about them. I know that some people really like them, so I'm going to check them out. Now, the only other thing in the box we have here is one of the autograph cards. This is Chris Monroy. Skeletal Remains. Okay, I've heard of the band, but I can't say that I know their music. But Skeletal Remains, Chris. These come out. They've been they do autograph cards well, pretty regularly. So I've got quite a collection of them going on over there, and I am not real familiar with the band, so I'll have to check out some of their styles and see. And that's the neat thing, is you get introduced to bands like this. Yeah, some of them are probably going to be more extreme than my taste would permit me to enjoy very much, but you learn about things and you get to know bands and you check them out and you decide, do you like them or do you not like them. So anyway, I'm going to check these out and I'll be right back in a few to finish this video. Okay, so wow, okay, start with the Ostrogoth. This is the inner sleeve, picture of the band. And again, because the band is, you know, started in the 80s, you can tell they've got some age on them. They're probably up in my age, which I love bands that look like that because I know they're probably going to be up my alley. This is on a somewhat clear, or kind of a yellowish clear. I don't know, it's translucent-y, but it's got an orangish yellow tint to it. So again, as mentioned, you know, band from the '80s that has gotten back together, and this is a 2015 release, and I am impressed. It starts off kind of slow and mellow, kind of like it's going to be some kind of an epic tune, which is like it's not coming out full throttle. So I'm like, they've got a little, you know, interesting to them, and then it kicks into gear, and other songs are pretty intense. So it never is too fast. It's right in that pocket of just great, solid. This would remind me of a lot of the bands in the 80s and early 90s that would have been that are not in the sleaze rock category, not in any of the glam or whatever, just the solid metal bands that are slightly in the unknown world, slightly underground. Yeah, vocals are, you know, they're just in that same vein, just perfect. So Score again, a band I was not familiar with. They have a kind of a, you can tell they're kind of overseas. It's not, I don't know, it's just that style of music that is, I don't know, could just be me, that style of music. Now, 3 Inches of Blood. Again, this one is just on black. And again, I heard of these, I've heard of these guys, didn't remember what I heard, didn't know what I knew, or anything about it. I don't know if they've changed singers, I don't know if they're different, but wow, this is like just primo. This is great. His vocal styles are high range. I cannot quite put my finger on who he reminds me of singer wise. High range vocals, not like King Diamond high, but just again, it reminds me of some of those bands from the 80s who didn't really make it that big, but who we have albums by that I can't recall who they sound like. Musically, it's just there. I've heard of these guys, I just don't know why I've never checked them out. Again, what stinks is I'm like, what I hear about this album I love, but is this a new singer? And then you go back and check the other stuff and it's not as good. So that's a tough thing about the Metalhead Box or anything like that. When you take a chance, when you check out a band for the first time and they've got a back catalog, you're kind of like, well, I'm kind of like the completist. Now I want to go search out their other stuff. So I'm hoping it is as good. But yeah, you know, I love these modern metal bands that are throwback sound. It's just great stuff. I just wasn't sure if these were going to be more extreme, but no, I am digging this. So yeah, that's a double shot. Again, Metalhead Box came through for me. These are 2 albums that are right up my alley. Now, you know, it's funny because I was thinking about this. It's like how, with so many albums, you get these one-off bands in there, and they're easy to get lost in the shuffle. How can you make sure you don't forget about them? Everything I've got is cataloged in my Discogs, and I have everything in folders. And these type of bands, I call them new bands that are, you know, in the past 20 years roughly. And I have a separate folder, and I actually have a separate section on my shelf now for new bands again that are probably, you know, in the 2000s, 20 years, about 20 years. Most of them do tend to be in the past 10ish. But so the thing is, I can go to that shelf and flip and find bands like this that are one-off bands that I've got or new bands that I've got, and I give them repeated listens more frequently. That's it for now. I see I lost my light. I will be back. Thanks a lot, Metalhead Box. Check them out, themetalheadbox.com, and check them out. Maybe you'd be interested in learning about some new music too. I'll be back. Rock on and rock hard.